So I'm here with Martin Robert Hall.
Yes.
Welcome, Martin.
Yeah.
And I've been delighted to be part of your workshop this morning. How would you describe yourself and what you do, first of all?
I describe myself as a performance specialist and a motivational speaker.
Mm-hmm.
And what I do is I help people to get the best out of themselves.
Okay, what sort of people do you work with typically?
The typical clients I work with are on an organisational level. You know, it's companies who want to get more out of their staff, and that can range. The companies that I work with is a wide range of different types of companies. So it's often, you know, going in and either speaking at a conference or speaking at an event or doing a workshop like we've done this morning to a group of managers or sales team or, you know, a particular department. On an individual level, it's a combination of business owners, entrepreneurs, maybe sales executives or career-driven people, and athletes as well. Athletes is I do quite a bit of work in sports, so I have athletes come to me as well.
Okay. So when you're asked to speak at a conference or to address some business people, what sort of issues are they facing that requires you to be brought in?
Yeah, well, a lot of the time it is really just to help people go through change. I suppose a lot of the time, you know, a lot of companies and organisations are facing change, and when they hold a conference, they're making changes. You know, maybe they're introducing new goals or visions for their company and where they want to lead their staff. And you know, my role is to come in and to give people, you know, really it's a bit of a kick. You know, and we do all require that kick, myself included. You know, from time to time, just to help people to get in touch again with getting the best out of themselves and, you know, really fully applying themselves.
But what's holding them back typically at the moment?
The individuals or
either the individuals or the company broadly?
Yeah, I think a lot of the time fear is what holds people back. It's fear, you know, if we're talking about fully applying yourself and, you know, really getting the best out of yourself and you know, giving your all to something. A lot of people have a lot of fear tied around that. And it's managing that fear, especially with change. You know, when changes are made in an organisation, it's the fear mechanism that kicks in.
But it's the fear of what? Is it the fear of change? Is it the fear of rejection?
There's many fears. You know, for some it's the fear of change. They like things the same. You know, when things are the same, people are comfortable. We have a mechanism in our bodies which is called homeostasis, and it's designed to keep things the same. You know, to regulate all our mechanisms of the body. And when we go through changes, somebody suddenly announces something. No, it's going to be different. You know, it's taken us outside our comfort zones. So whichever fear it is, some people it's fear of not being able to live up to the new expectations, fear of failure. You know, if you're in a role where it requires results and you're measured, will I be able to step up? So there's lots of different fears, but they're all attached to one thing. It's the comfort zone. You know, because whenever a fear comes in, whether any change of any sort, it's taken us outside of our level of comfort, our zone of comfort that we've got comfortable in.
So presumably a lot of what you do is about helping people understand that coming out of their comfort zone is how they grow.
Yes.
And not to fear it, and actually
Definitely.
to embrace it.
And how to embrace it. And so what I do is it's not just you know, connecting with these people and inspiring them, you know, and encourage them. They can do more because they already know that. But I'm just there to tell them almost what they already know. But they do need to be told, you know, and they do need it to be refreshed. And I do that, you know, in a refreshing way, which connects with them. But then after that, I will give them the strategies. Here is how you successfully go through that process. You know, because if they don't understand how they can do that, you know, as soon as they step out of the comfort zone, they retract again.
Now, one thing that our listeners love to hear is a story.
Okay.
A particular example of somebody you've helped, without giving away any sort of confidentialities, but a story of where they were when they arrived and where they were at the end.
Okay. One particular client comes to mind that I've thought of, came to me in, I suppose it was really lacking confidence. Had a few certain events that knocked their confidence, knocked their confidence, and so as a result of that, got into a bit of a rut. Still plodding on, but as I say, they were plodding on.
Were the knocks in a kind of a business environment, or were they personal things that had happened to them?
It was a combination, actually. It was a combination, and what seemed to happen, it happens in a lot of cases, is if the knocks had happened in the business, then suddenly similar knocks that normally wouldn't have an impact outside in the personal life, or were having an impact, and so that accumulative effect.
They were all mixed up together then.
Just a cumulative effect, yeah, yes. and had an overall dent on the confidence, and so in terms of responding to some of the changes and things they wanted to make in their life, that initial confidence wasn't there. So what we did, through our work, was focus on all the things they were good at, the times in the past where they've excelled, and then also looking at the things that broke their confidence, but then in the areas of their life that they were still, showing areas of confidence. A lot of people, and this particular client was excelling in some areas, but then other areas just totally letting themselves down and not seeing that that confidence is transferable.
Yes.
And as soon as through our work they were able to realise that, suddenly then all the things that they weren't following through on before, just became irrelevant.
Sure.
And within the space of about 4 weeks, they transformed their health, really, their lifestyle, the way they were leading their life, which then had a knock-on effect at work. All the managers above them noticed this change. The partner at home noticed this change, and within 6 weeks, our work was finished totally. Spoke to the same person 6 months later, and it totally changed their life. And it wasn't, I wouldn't say, I don't take all the credit for that. It was just a case of having that person to realise certain things, just to guide them, give them that support.
I'm interested in what you say about focusing on what was working well, because I remember Tony Robbins saying once that we get more of what we focus on.
Yes.
So it's very easy to focus on all the things that are going wrong, and you tend to attract more of those things, don't you?
You do, and the thing, there's a reason why we focus on the negative more, and it's because negative events have stronger emotions attached to them. You take the emotion of happiness and take the emotion of disaster, something's happened, and it's much more powerful.
They demand attention, really. The things that are going wrong demand immediate attention.
They grip you, don't they? And so it's easier to get caught up and stay in that place.
Yes.
But when you can just shift somebody and take them into that place, and shift the focus, you're right. So we do have more tendency to remember more negative things because of the emotions attached to them. So that's really where it takes. We have to take responsibility to focus more on the positive elements and the good sides of ourselves, the things we're doing well. Because, like you said, when you do focus on that, you seem to attract more of it.
But also, are you trying to? I know we're probably delving into the area of NLP a little bit here. Do you try and get people to hook an emotion to the good times, the good flow moments as well, so that they actually associate those with an emotion that can maybe trigger a positive memory?
Yeah, I do use some with the one-to-one clients. If I think NLP is needed, then definitely, I suppose there's all different levels of it, but it is really, sometimes for some people, it's breaking the pattern. They get caught up in a pattern where, if they're in a negative space, personally, they get caught up in that pattern where everything they see seems to have the same negative connotation attached to it. They see it as negative. They can't see the positive. And if you can help them break that pattern, and you can do that by hooking onto positive things they've done in the past, positive events, but then also what's the positive vision they've got to look forward to for the future. And a combination of that can definitely, bring somebody out of a rut or a plateau.
Sure.
Sure.
So if you were to give your, let's say, 3 killer tips for people. Yeah. Obviously, we're only part way through our session today.
Yeah, we are.
But just for the listeners at home, 3 killer tips for people that want to maybe raise their game a little bit.
Yes. Okay. My 3 killer tips is, number one, get comfortable being uncomfortable. That is the most important. Any change, anytime you grow as a person, it's going to be uncomfortable. People they're more scared of the feeling of fear than actually doing the task. If you can manage the feeling of being uncomfortable, you're onto a winner. That's number one. Number two is spend time with the right people. That has had a massive effect in my life, and I believe, whenever I look at people's peer groups, you can understand how they're behaving. So get around the right people, essential. And then number three, I would say you need accountability, because it's human nature to rest on our laurels. Like I said, I explained the mechanism built in our body, homeostasis, designed to keep things the same. We will stay in our comfort zone unless we're pushed. But being comfortable being outside of it, being around the right people, and then having somebody that holds you accountable to the changes and the level of performance that you have promised to deliver will raise your game. And that's why in sports, why do top athletes have a team of coaches around them? When they drop their level of their performance, they get told, they get supported, they get guided through the change, but also if they don't make the change, they get dropped.
So where can people find out more about what you do? Because you have a book.
Yeah, I do have a book.
You do lots of speaking. So where can we find out more about Martin Robert Hall?
martinroberthall.com.
Very simple.
Very simple. Go straight there, and everything you need to know is on my website.
Fantastic. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Andrew. It's been a pleasure.